unapologetic, unadulterated, and uncompromising. Greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world, and welcome back to the home, the haven, the stronghold, and the super fortress of intelligent black thought. This is the BlackChannel.net radio. I am, of course, your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And the telephone number is 646-787-1933. 646-787-1933 is your personal access code to the blackest radio program in existence, the only one of its kind on planet Earth today. Most definitely, you must join us. The absolute cataclysm of a storm that came through here yesterday and whatnot made it impossible for us to finish broadcasting here. We got as far as we could last night, but the storm has moved on east and is now plaguing Florida, Georgia, and beyond, so that leaves us free and clear to conduct tonight's broadcast unabated. And unabated it will be. Thank you very much for joining us here tonight, brothers and sisters. The telephone number, as I said, is 646-787-1933. We'll be opening up the phone lines here at the bottom of the hour. You're definitely obliged to come and join us. You will want to do that as well. We were talking about last night, before we were so rudely interrupted by the forces of nature, we were talking about Eric Harris, of course, but I want to talk to you about something a little bit different here tonight. I want to discuss with you all a term that was coined here at the Black Channel. You will hear it in other places from other people, but just understand that it never predated the Black Channel. What you have active today are a number of white supremacist sleeper cells. These are white supremacist sleeper cells of individuals, and it crosses age, it crosses gender, it crosses socioeconomic boundaries, because they are united behind a singular cause. And the singular cause that they are united to is to preserve white dominance and control for the next 500 years. And in their minds, that is going to require a steady diet of terrorism, violence, and bloodshed. As the numbers of the white population begin to decline and begin to go down, you are going to see the acts of violence committed against black people escalate. We are the first people who told you that. Why? Because we're the only people who keep up with these things. If you will take a look back during the 1800s, when the white population was at 50% of the American population, what was happening to black people then? What were the tactics that were used and legal against black people at that time? Then when they became 92% of the American population, they didn't have to do those things anymore. Their dominance was so overwhelming and so absolute, they didn't have to do anything anymore. All they had to do was just sit back. Let it ride. It didn't really matter how much they ceded to black people. They didn't have to use violence to dominate you anymore. Their power was all-encompassing. Now things have begun to change. Things have begun to become different. And with that difference is coming a situation where they are now having to resort to more desperate and lethal means again. They are having to resort to the tried and true tactics that have worked for them for so long. They are having to resort back to that. It is no longer enough to be subtle. They can't be subtle with you. It is no longer enough to be clandestine. They cannot be clandestine with you anymore. They are going to have to resort to outright overt acts to let you know that at any time, any place, we can come for you, we can get you. This is what we are able to do because our power is so absolute. That is the entire point that they're trying to prove now. That they are in a position where they do not have to be subtle now. They are now flexing their muscles in a way that they never did before. They never did it before. Well, that they haven't had to do in recent times. And what they are doing is they are testing us one by one, piece by piece, place by place. If you'll all remember here, when Oscar Grant was murdered, do you remember how that went down? You had a cop, Johannes Messerly, and he was a little bit smarter than the average bigot. He was a little bit brighter. His strategy was that he would kill Oscar Grant and say, oh, I was meaning to get my taser, and I accidentally, after all my training, I didn't know the difference between a taser and a gun. After all my training, I didn't know the difference between a taser and a gun. He's flat on his stomach. He's being held down by 3 or 4 other people. There's no reason for you to be tasing him on the ground. You do tasing in order to subdue somebody. He's already flat on his stomach. He does not need to be subdued. He's already been subdued. He's already been subdued. No, people, you need to recognize murder when you see it. You need to accept it as what it is. Now, other people have learned from Johannes Messerly's actions. And this is what just happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Now, I want to remind you of a few things. I want to remind you that tonight is a night that I am going to remind you of the legacy of white supremacy and what that legacy is. The legacy of white supremacy is very simple: to be able to pass on their power, wealth, and influence to the next generation. That is the entire purpose and goal of white supremacy. And that's exactly what they're doing now. I want to take this time to juxtaposition, if I can, the events of the last 3 weeks, the killing of Walter Scott and the killing of Eric Harris. Now, I want you to do a brief little comparison here. See if you can pick up on a couple of things. The killing of Ernest Satterwhite, the killing of Walter Scott, and the killing of Eric Harris. And I want you to see if you can latch on to some similarities here and some differences, by the way. Some similarities and some differences. Now, Eric Harris, I believe, was 45 years old. Eric Harris was 45. Walter Scott was 50. Ernest Satterwhite was 68. All gunned down, all murdered by police. Walter Scott's mother, unless she was a teen mother, which is totally possible, but let's just say that her age was 70. Just keeping that little median there. Let's just say she was 70 years old. When something bad happened to her very own child, how did she respond to that? How did she respond to something bad happening to her? She busted out into rhyme. She busted out into song. She busted out into subservience with this lame slave plantation ideology that when white folks smack you, the way that you remedy the problem is to bow down even more. That in her mind, the problem was that they were not humble enough. That if you get more humble, then that is how you generate a more compassionate response, is if you get more humble. Because you see, if you're not humble enough, then that is what provokes white supremacy. No, I'm not speaking hyperbole here. I mean, she's actually operating under that assumption. That the problem, that the mistake that was made was that they were not humble enough. And that if they had been more humble, that would have stopped it. Or if she is humble enough now, if she bows down enough now, if she simply shows them that she's not a threat, that will prevent the next one. Brothers and sisters, show us the metric, the measurement that you're using that shows that is actually benefiting us. Show us what you're looking at that shows, hey, by us being more docile and being willing to take more of an ass beating, that's making real progress for us, man. White supremacy's on the ropes. Show me where white supremacy is losing ground, losing progress because we are more subservient. Show me where that's working. Show me where they are losing. Show me where white supremacy is losing because we are going out there and being more humble. Now that should be very easy for anybody to substantiate if it's actually happening. Now, the individual who killed Eric Harris, 73-year-old reserve deputy Robert Bates. Now, as of today, Bates has been charged with second-degree manslaughter. Not even murder, not even first-degree manslaughter. He has been charged with second-degree manslaughter. Second degree. Second. I want you to let that sink in for just a moment here. You saw it happen as it happened. Second degree manslaughter. Do you know what that really means? That really means that he could really technically walk away with just a fine. Do you understand that? Now, on the ABC News website, it shows that Bates is an unpaid volunteer. Unpaid volunteer who worked on a violent crimes task force and had to maintain firearms proficiency, quote, to live with this the rest of his life. Really? The rest of his life? Too bad Mr. Harris won't be living with it the rest of his. The Tulsa World has reported that Bates owns an insurance company. Now, I think that's their local newspaper there. The Tulsa World reported that Bates owns an insurance company. "73 years old. Now, how in the hell did he end up being there? The story goes on to say the training for reserve deputies is similar, though abbreviated, to that of full-time paid deputies, Clark said. While full-time officers have over 500 hours of training, reserves must complete 240 hours of training, he said, but must still perform continuing education every year. The sheriff's office has 3 levels of reserve deputies, Clark said, and Bates is considered the most advanced level. So this was their top cop at the reserve levels. Because Bates works on a violent crimes task force, his training was, quote, well over the minimum requirements. Now this is damning them even more. This is the best they could get with well over the minimum requirements. And they let this killer slip through. Or did they let him slip through? It says he's worked over 3,000 volunteer hours as a reserve deputy and has had over 400 hours of training since 2007. Bates is taser certified, the sheriff's office reported. Typically, he has been assigned to outside containment on search warrants. In other words, his job is just to keep people from being able to, if they break out running, he's just one of the guys who's designated to try to tackle. In other words, general labor. And in addition to his training as an advanced reserve deputy, he's been trained in the use of less lethal devices such as the pepper ball gun and the taser, the sheriff's office said in the briefing. According to the sheriff's office, Bates' gun weighs 11.4 ounces unloaded, while the taser weighs 12.6 ounces, and both weapons have a grip-activated laser sight, the sheriff's office said. The ABC News has been unable to reach Bates, and the message left at his daughter's home after the charge was announced has not been returned. Harris, 45, was the subject of an undercover operation, police said on April 2nd. Harris met the undercover investigator in a parking lot to allegedly sell him a firearm, police said. Video released by the sheriff's office shows Harris run from officers, and officers then struggle to subdue him. There they go with that struggle to subdue him. But as far as they're concerned, even if once you start running, that's struggling to subdue you. By the way, a single gunshot is heard in the video. Someone says, "I shot him, I'm sorry." According to the sheriff's office, the words were spoken by Bates just after he shot his weapon. In a statement released Sunday by Harris's family attorney, Daniel Smolin, the family said they reviewed, quote, the heavily edited version of video released by the Tulsa County Sheriff's Office and were saddened, shocked, confused, and disturbed by the sheriff's office version of the incident. The family said that Bates, quote, is a wealthy man who has contributed vehicles, equipment, and money to the Tulsa County Sheriff's Office. They said Bates, quote, has a close personal relationship with Tulsa County Sheriff Stanley Glanz and contributed thousands to his campaign. Bates reportedly owns an insurance company and served as chairman of the Gland's re-election committee in 2012. The Tulsa World cited records showing he donated $2,500 to Gland's campaign that year. The family also accused Bates of wanting to be, quote, pay-to-play cop. We do not believe it is reasonable or responsible for the Tulsa County Sheriff's Office to accept gifts from a wealthy citizen who wants to be a pay-to-play cop, the statement said. But Clark, now he's with the Tulsa County Sheriff's Office, but Clark told ABC News Today that Bates' quote, wealth, his status in the community, really is not in question. We have very influential reserves on our program, and then we just have John Q. Public on our program. We have guys that are blue-collar workers, we have guys that are white-collar workers, and these are guys that have a reason to give back. They want to give back to their community in some way. You see, as black people, we don't understand what legacy is. The bastard baby makers help strip that from us. But you see, at his age of 73, he's around the same age as Walter Scott's mother. Around the same age as Ernest Satterwhite. As black people get older, we get more cowardly. We get more scared. We get more cowardly and frightened and afraid. That's what we do as black people. We get more scared and cowardly. That's why your mama's on TV singing hymns. But these other people, no. No, you see, he understands that it is his time to give back to his community. It is his time. And the fact that he got that money, that shows you what he was trying to do. He has spent his life doing that. He spent his life waiting for an opportunity. And as our elders become the cowards of the world, their elders want one last shot at proving to their fathers and their ancestors that they are the worthy descendants of the people who killed millions. Not thousands, millions. To take control not just of this country, but of this earth. It's his time to step up and show that this is what built the Anglo global empire. That was what he got the money for. He didn't get the money to buy some damn shoes. He didn't get the money to get a hair weave. He didn't get the money so he could sit up here and buy a car. He got it because he understood that what he's supposed to be doing next is passing that on. And he understood that. Now, I'm going to get to the other cop here in a moment, the one who said F your breath when Harris was saying he couldn't breathe. He'd just been shot. They're still cuffing him. F your breath. Why come nobody is talking about the charges against that cop? Are there any? Why is it that we're not talking about him? Because him, that's not even manslaughter, that's murder. If I shot a cop by accident, and even if he was undercover and I didn't know who he was, if I shot him even by accident and refused to call 911, rendered no aid, and he died, I would not be charged with manslaughter. I would be charged with murder. I would be charged with murder. Even if it was an undercover cop who never identified himself, I would be charged with murder. And you should have seen him with one of these tattoos. What it looked like from his t-shirt, it looked like that same kind of tattoo, kind of like I want to say kind of like that arachnid tattoo that Dave Bautista has. You see, back here 10 years ago, when, well, little 12, 13 years ago, when WCW and the WWE were flying high, a lot of folk out there, a lot of white boys out there, patterned themselves after Bill Goldberg. Goldberg, who popularized that tribe tattoo on his massive deltoids. And then later you had Dave Bautista. With that, he had several tattoos, but that arachnid tattoo, I want to say it was Dave Bautista. If I'm wrong, somebody will correct me or something, but it's like one of these sharp arachnid tattoos. I want to say it's Dave, though. I want to say it's him. And then later comes Brock Lesnar. Everybody trying to one-up Bill Goldberg. Now you got a bunch of these wannabes out here. They're tatted up. But you see, they're not like you hood rats. You hood rats tat up to show they're sluts. And your black males get tatted up to show that they're homo thugs. These white dudes ain't doing that. They're tatting up to show you that they're here for war. And they're not playing war either. One black male, it's not like he had a trunk full of guns. It's not like he had a trunk full of guns. They would have a sting operation to take a revolver off the street? That makes no sense. No, this is about an ongoing warfare. Because once they're going to say that you're an arms dealer. They're going to say that you are an arms dealer. And that's going to get you federal charges. Not just at the state level. That's going to get you charged by the feds. All of this to take a handgun off the street? Does that even make sense to anybody? But these people are at war. And they are mobilizing all of the weaponry and machinery that they can. They are here not to arrest us, but to kill us on sight. And they are charging him with some penny-in-the-ass misdemeanor offense, basically, to get him out of double jeopardy. The Constitution says you can only be charged once, and they are here to get him out of double jeopardy. That's what his campaign contribution paid for. That's what it did for him. It's getting him out of double jeopardy. Now, you and me, one-way trip to the electric chair. But for him, it's going to help him get away with murder. 73 years old. And he just wanted to make sure that that got done before he left this world. He's ready to go out and take as many of you as he can with him. Think I'm making that up? Think I'm being hyperbolic? You think that's what I'm doing? Remember in Milwaukee? Remember that? No, a lot of you have forgotten about that, haven't you? Well, I haven't. In Milwaukee, just almost 2 years ago to the date, remember John Spooner, 76 years old, shot dead a 13-year-old black child, claiming that they had broken into his home. He thought they had broken into his home and stolen guns. And then when they revealed, sir, they never broke into your home. And he was asked if he felt guilty after shooting the wrong people, and he said, no. I don't feel guilty at all. So what does that tell you, people? He didn't kill that boy because he thought they broke into his house. He killed that boy because he's 76 years old and he feels that in his life he has not done enough to support the cause of white supremacy. And he's got nothing else to give to his people except his life. He is showing you that he knows he's got nothing else that he can give except his life. And that's exactly what he did here. That's exactly what he did. And he's not the only one. He's not the only one. For those of you who are young, you don't remember Timothy McVeigh? Timothy McVeigh knew. He knew. He knew when he did that. He knew when he blew up the Murrah Federal Building in Oklahoma. He knew that when he did that, he was ex-military. He knew that they were going to find him. He knew that was going to happen. And that was why he did it. That was why he did it. Because he was ex-military. Sound familiar? Michael Slager. Ex-military. White supremacist. And he did not feel that he had done enough to support the cause of white supremacy. He didn't feel that the government was standing up enough for the cause of white supremacy. He didn't feel they had done enough. So he wanted to demonstrate that even if the government didn't have the heart anymore, he did, that he was willing to make the ultimate sacrifice and lay down his life. And him and Terry Nichols and Michael Fortier, they were a full-blown terrorist white supremacist sleeper cell. And they laid in wait until the day they struck. And if you will all remember, when Timothy McVeigh was caught, they had talked to Terry Nichols. Terry Nichols had said that he had... Michael Fortier. Michael Fortier was the guy who didn't go with them to the Murrah building. He had helped at the beginning but didn't help at the end. And he asked Timothy why. He said that he asked Timothy why. And Timothy had said that it was because of Ruby Ridge. One white supremacist helping another. Michael Fortier had told him, but Timothy, there were children in that building. There was a daycare in that building. And he said that Timothy told him that in every war, there are casualties. Every war. That in every war, there is collateral damage. There will always be that. Then they have the recordings of Timothy McVeigh after he was caught. And he was asked, how long did it take him to find that building? He said he already knew where it was. They asked him, did you have any other targets? And he was like, no, that was my main target. They asked him, did you know that there was a daycare inside of that building? And Timothy McVeigh said, no, I did not specifically know that there was a daycare inside of the building, but I figured I knew that there were definitely going to be non-government employee casualties. I knew that. And I knew it was possible that there may be children involved, or at least non-government employees. I knew there was a possibility of that. And then they asked him, would that have changed what he was going to do? And he said, probably not. He said, probably not. That is what you are up against here, people. That is what you are up against here. You are up against individuals who at this point in their lives are going to do whatever they have to do to make sure that white supremacy is carried on and carried over into the next millennium. Because you might not be at war, but they are. We're going to go ahead and open up the phone lines here now. Let me take a caller from 806. You're on live with the Black Channel.
Hi, can you hear me all right?
Yes, we can hear you all right. What's your name? Where you calling from?
I'm Arlene Barnes, I'm calling from Oklahoma.
Okay, Arlene, you're calling in from Oklahoma. Thank you very much for calling the Black Channel. You are right there in the belly of the beast where this is happening. Why don't you give us a full report?
Well, yeah.
So what are they saying up there right now in Oklahoma?
Well, they're having a meeting in Tulsa. It's at the it's a Unitarian church that's located in the heart of Greenwood, which is the same North Tulsa district where the Black Wall Street was at. You know, where they had the Tulsa race riot. And it looks to me, I'm seeing the pictures right now that are being uploaded onto their timeline at this church. It looks to be like they're having more white people attending than there are blacks.
Now, who exactly organized this get-together?
Huh?
Who was it exactly who organized this meeting at this church to discuss police brutality? Who exactly organized it?
It's the pastor of the church. I believe the pastor's name is Reverend Davis, Gerald Davis. And he called for the meeting for the church. It says here, in response to the police brutality, that there must be a cohesive order to build a community coalition to cease police brutality. The coalition building, get the date and time for the 6:30, and it sounds to me as though they're trying to, based on what they're right up there, is to strategize some type of plan to what they call to implement an effective method to ignite a change. And I don't know what that means. And I don't know why the black people did not call the meeting. And I tried to get the black community to organize a protest in front of the DA office, to charge the man. But then this morning, it comes out that, he's charged, but with second degree. I mean, that's barely 4 years, if that.
Well, I mean, but it could be no time at all.
That is true.
That's the real problem, is that he could actually serve 0 time. Yeah, he could serve 4 years, but it's second-degree manslaughter. He could actually be let off with nothing more than a fine, if that. If he gets a fine.
Now, okay. Now I just got a call from NAACP, and he tells me, that I guess he's trying to get in contact with the chapter president, because you got these different chapters, these different branches, and Tulsa has a branch. Tulsa is has the second largest branch in the whole state, NAACP. So they're trying to reach him, and I don't know why Ples Thompson has not been out there before all of this. And they're trying to get a press conference together. Meanwhile, you got some black people out here say they want a protest. And then now you got people in Oklahoma said, well, they're just going to try to just organize some Black Panther groups. I wish they would. I really wish they would. At least with the Black Panther organization, you might get something done. You know, because we're tired of these accepting apologies. We're tired of saying you forgive and still being mowed down like dogs in the streets. Yeah, I mean, our lives are on a chopping block out here, man. I mean, we're too spread out. The population of Oklahoma, we aren't but no more than 7%, barely. The biggest concentration of Black folks we get out of here is in Oklahoma City and Tulsa, and the rest of us are spread out in little rural areas. I mean, we could be plucked out at any time, and nobody knows where the bodies are. I mean, that's how critical it is. It's critical, man. It's critical.
And
like
of
I told
course,
you, you're acting too slow. And I told the people, the Black people, I said, they got to organize now. Time is of the essence. Have the protest, and I don't mean locking arms saying we shall overcome. Forget that shit. We need to be out there making demands and be damn serious with it and show up in big numbers with Black faces, not a bunch of white faces, because you have a bunch of white faces out there. The first they're going to say, well, the liberals were the ones that instigated it. I mean, if somebody killed your own color, we got to think enough of ourselves to show up on our own and not have our numbers be saluted by a bunch of white people leading the marches.
well, you know what?
Black person need to be out there.
I actually disagree with that. I think we need to have I actually disagree with that. We need to have a bunch of white folk out there. We need to make white people call other white people to task for their white supremacist ways.
Okay, yeah, but I can understand, white being supported. I mean, show support. But if somebody killed my own, you think I'm going to wait for a white person to take up off and say, well, we want to say, no, I want to protect my own. I don't need no permission from no white man to protect my own. What they make me look like, man? No. I mean, you just can't, because you know what? One white guy said the other day, he kind of made me upset when he said it, but he may be right. The white people in this little private room I'm in, it's a local private Oklahoma room with a bunch of libertarians, because I know a bunch of Ron Paul people. So they said, well, we got to do something because there's racism is getting out of hand in Oklahoma. We need to do something, because they didn't, because they're killing a bunch of Black people. He said, when you got there and do something, one white boy in the room, and I know him, and I've known each other for a long time. When the libertarians got kicked out of the GOP convention about a couple of years ago, and he said, why should we always keep toting the water for the Black causes? He said, we already went out there by the busloads of Ferguson, went to jail for them, and now we got to tote the water here in Oklahoma. And I didn't know how to take that, but in a way, maybe he's right. But maybe he said it in a way, typed it in a way where it came off wrong, kind of dismissive. And he voted no. To not do anything, to go out there to show support. He said because that was toting the water for Black people, and they don't tote the water, not even for themselves. Now, is that something?
It didn't take long for the white. What they're really saying is that we made too much progress and put too much of a spotlight on white supremacy, because when you talk about Rand Paul and Ron Paul, they've already been exposed for their white supremacist ways. So you're sitting, once you say I'm among a bunch of Ron Paul supporters, you might as well have said I'm among a bunch of David Duke or Glenn Beck supporters. You might as well have said that.
Well, but they didn't want to go out there and do anything. Because they figured that they already went to Ferguson, got involved in that, and they were not going to get involved in going out there to fight for this cause. And said that they tired of toting the water for the Black community. I'll be doggone.
Of course, but what's the real issue? The real issue is that we as Black people, you see, you know what the problem is there, Arlene? The problem there is that as Black people, where is your ability? Now, was that guy white?
Yes, he's white.
Where is your ability as black people to punish him for what he said?
You think I should have outed him?
What I'm saying is that as a people, where is our ability to punish people who speak against us like that? Would he ever have said that he didn't see any reason to tote the water for the Jews because we've already done that once? Would he ever have said something like that? Or, I don't see why we should tote the water for the gays? Would he ever have said something like that about Jews or gays? But he didn't have a problem saying it about black folk. And what's the difference between black folk and everybody else? Other people have the means to punish you when you... First of all, they have the will, and they have the means to punish you when you speak against them.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Well, something has got to give.
No, I agree.
We can't continue to exist like this. I mean, I can speak out and keep the white folks from messing with me as an individual. But something needs to be done collectively. It has to be a collective voice. And like I was telling the NAACP, none of this getting on MSNBC and saying that you forgive, because we don't want to hear that. You make matters worse on us. I know he took offense to it when I said it, but I said, but that's the truth. I said, I'm going to tell you what they won't tell you, man. And you can't do that. You can't get out there and go on these forgiveness tours because you make matters look worse, and then, it gives them the permission to go out there and kill more of us. Given that we're such a small population as it is in this rural state.
Every time we allow that to happen,
I don't know if they're trying to talk about having a protest or what.
I
don't know if the church is calling these black people over there to make them calm down and not go out in the streets and want to, because I'm looking at the pictures. I did private message you the pictures. Look at them pictures. Look at the picture I show you and tell me what is the population, the majority of the population of people in that church at that meeting. Matter of fact, I'm counting more white faces than I am white. You see it?
Yeah, but where is our... If we don't have an economic base, if you don't have a code of conduct, if you're not together as a people, you can't make other people rally to your cause when you do not have a unified organism to begin with. And I don't mean by black unity. Forget that garbage. What I'm talking about is that these people don't see any benefit to supporting us, even to avoid being punished. At least if you're strong enough to go jump on somebody, you can at least threaten them.
Why should we call them to support us when we need to support ourselves? When the Muslims over here in Oklahoma, when they try to discriminate against them, which they do, those Muslims, they come together. I'm not talking about the black Muslims. I'm talking about your Arab Muslims, like under CAIR, CAIR. They defend themselves.
Right, but what do they have first, though?
They win.
But what do they have first? What does CAIR have? They have money, and they have a code of conduct. Black people are trying... That gives CAIR, the Council on American Islamic Relations, that gives them the ability to punish people. They have the ability to get... They can
punish you severely.
They can get on the airwaves. They can buy advertising. They can get on national television. They got money, and they have a code of conduct. So when CAIR...
And they never lost a lawsuit in Oklahoma.
When CAIR speaks, they have the entire support of their people. Ain't nobody talking about, but what about Arab on Arab crime?
Nope. No,
you show me an Arab who talks about what about Arab on Arab crime. You show me that.
You will not hear them speak that.
That fellow would get run the hell out of town in Oklahoma, not in Detroit, not in Chicago, in Oklahoma.
Oklahoma had passed a law and had tricked the public to vote on a law. It's called Sharia law, anti-Sharia law, to make it a crime to, to allow Sharia practices to go unpunished in the courts. Well, the CARE took them to court and said that you can't make a law like that that can get people to vote on it because that is, that's anti-Muslim. That's where you can't not be saying that about us because you're targeting us. That's discrimination. And you know that they won that and the judge struck it down and said that we voted illegally on the ballot? I have never known CARE to file a single lawsuit in Oklahoma and lost one. Didn't lose a single one. And they're quick to sue you.
I mean, they're
quick to drag you into court. They're quick to drag the state into court.
But what have they done, though? They've got intelligent, competent lawyers. What do we have in black society? All due respect, Benjamin Crump. We went from Johnny Cochran to Ben Crump. Where are our black...
They got the big lawyers that come into the NAACP to take a doggone case on pro bono.
Black people are...
I said, do we have any lawyers in this outfit?
Well, I mean, black people are 99% of the twerkers and 5% of the attorneys. And even in that 5% of the attorneys, how many of them are competent?
Man, I'm trying to find some positives here. I'm trying to keep hope alive.
Okay. Keep it up. Let me know how it works out for you.
Huh? I'm just trying to figure out a way. I'm trying to figure out a way to fix this.
The way that we fix it is called power, wealth, and influence. Exactly what Robert Bates did, that's exactly what we have to do. You cannot stop power when you are powerless. Marching and protesting does not work, Arlene. And the reason that marching and protesting do not work is because people with power and wealth are impervious to marching and protesting. That's the problem.
And what do we do in the meanwhile to stop the bleeding, to keep our people from being mowed down almost on a daily basis?
First order of business, even if you don't have money, you should have a code of conduct. So that when your enemies come into your neighborhoods and kill your people, something happens to them and ain't nobody seeing nothing.
And who you think should propose this code of conduct, given that you got so many black Baptist churches and you got the Methodist church, and then they're not all on the same page?
Okay, what does it take to get them on the same page?
Baby, I don't know.
Okay, well here's what you need to do is you need to be together, even if it's just you and 5 other black folk. You all need to get together and form a cell of your own. And if everybody else is just content to be the walking victims, let them be the walking victims. But your churches sold you out a long time ago. Your churches have been overtaken by a bunch of failed drug dealers and failed pimps who didn't have any other job skills. So they took their gift of gab, fast talking talents and turned it towards religion and found an upper middle class income. Your churches are worthless today. Futile. Don't look to them. You are going to have to amass your power, wealth, and influence. You cannot fight. Do you understand that even right now we couldn't even militarily fight them? I mean, how are we as black people? Well, no, that doesn't matter. How are you going to go to war against the people who make the bullets you plan on shooting? How are you going to do that? Thank you. Do you think they're going to keep letting you go down to Walmart and buy rifles? The pawn shop and buy bullets? Do you think they're going to keep letting you do that if you start shooting at them? They're going to turn the spigot.
I can't even get black people to learn how to reload.
They're going to turn off the spigot the very next day. So even if we wanted to, these people run around with their gun clubs and stuff, that's nice and that's cute, but you're not going to go to war with the people who make your bullets. You're not. They see us dress up like Halloween and we're recreating the 70s. It's the 21st damn century. Those tactics are irrelevant in the modern context.
Oh, wow. But I'll take that up under advisement and get hooked up with some people and just, you see, I live in a rural area. So there's no what you call a black community where I live. The problem in Oklahoma tends to be in the areas where you got some sizable, or should I say, a visible traffic of black people. And so I got to constantly go back and forth into various areas throughout the state where the problem exists. And maybe I can, bring this up to them and come up with some code of conduct as to what is allowed to happen and what's not allowed to happen.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I'll tell you one thing. Stop wasting your time hanging out with these Republicans and libertarians. Stop wasting your time. That is a complete and total waste of time as far as black empowerment is concerned. Black empowerment is spelled one way, Arlene, just $1. Because whatever you want to get done in this world is going to take money. And if you and everybody else you know is flat broke, guess what's going to get done? Nothing. So the first thing is you need a code of conduct if you don't have any money. But I would advise you to get the money before you even start talking to code. If you got money, you can get other people on board with your code.
The money to do what with it?
Okay. First order of business. How much money did Robert Bates contribute to the sheriff's campaign?
Oh, you mean money in that way?
Baby, we are the only people who are complaining about what the politicians do. How many politicians did we put in the office? Question, Arlene. Do you know how much money Sheriff Glanz spent in his re-election campaign? Do you know how much money he spent?
No, I don't.
Thank you. Now, when I made my documentary 7 a.m., the whole world was talking about, Darren Wilson and the police chief and Mayor Knowles. I was the only person. I was the only person who actually went and got the campaign finance records, and it's in 7 a.m. that show you that Mayor Knowles spent $2,500 during his last campaign. Now, he ran unopposed, but he only spent $2,500. Not millions, not hundreds of thousands. You spent more money than that on your own car. Now, I'm saying, what is our excuse? We don't even know how much these people spent to get elected. No wonder we can't do nothing. Now, here we are, almost a year later, and now you got 3 black people on the city council in Ferguson. You went from 1 to 3. It didn't take much money, and it didn't take much effort. When you actually start applying it, baby, we're not getting beaten in the race. They're running down the track. We still sitting there at the starting block getting our asses beat. We have no intel on our enemies. We don't know what they spent. We don't know nothing. No wonder you can't beat them.
It's going to be kind of hard for me to get enough people gathered up in Oklahoma to be on the same page. Like you said, maybe 5 a day. I don't know.
If you're broke, yeah, it's going to be real hard.
Got to be done.
If you are broke, it's going to be real hard. You need to get together with you and 5 other black folk who got some pennies to rub together, and y'all get together. Don't get no broke folk with you. Get you and 5 other black folk together and choose a candidate, choose a place, whatever you want to do. But stop trying to get things done on no money. You better have a war chest. Okay. You better have a budget. You're not going to get anything done with no money. The church got money. The white politicians got money. The white politicians' backers have money. The folk in black society are trying to get things done on charity, and it doesn't work.
Yeah, now that is a problem.
Then do something about it.
On expecting charity all the time. Every time they look around, they got to put their hands out. Well, and I don't like that.
Well, you don't want to be doing the same thing either, though.
No, I don't.
So now you got to do something different.
Okay.
I'll let you have the last word.
Okay, well, I'll do that. I'll, get some people together, the pool our resources together to come up with what you said, a code of conduct.
Well, you better get started on the war chest first. Just make it.
Okay, war chest first.
Just
code
make
of
it.
conduct second.
Yeah, just make it $10,000.
Okay.
While you got people galvanized about it, while you got people agitated about it, tell them, hey, marching on City Hall ain't gonna do a damn thing if we don't remove some of these politicians. We can get together a recall, but a recall is worthless with no money.
But then let me say this right on the last word that you're giving me. How did the Ferguson people do it? Because they were out there protesting in front of the police department. It got the national attention as to what was going on down there.
And that did what? That accomplished.
How is it that they were able to get those people out there to vote in? Like you said, that they had only one, and now they're up to 3.
Ma'am, I got the records. Hell, I got the records on that. Give me just a moment here. I got it on my Twitter. For those of you who are listening, my Twitter.
For
those of you who are listening, Arlene's still working on that. For those of you who are listening, on my Twitter is the Black Channel. So if you go on Twitter, you'll see my Twitter page is the Black Channel. And last week I was covering it live when it happened. Ella Jones got 808 votes.
808. Okay.
And she knocked. That was I think that was Kim Tian's district. And Wesley Bell got 494 votes. And that was that allowed them to win.
Is that what it took?
Well, when you actually go look at the numbers of these districts and see what you actually need, then you realize there is no excuse for a city like Ferguson that's 67% black to be having white police beating your ass in. And same thing in Tulsa, a city that's 47% black, and yet the white supremacists are volunteering to kill your black ass for $2,500.
Yeah. This is embarrassing.
Well, change it.
I'm trying. This is a daily thing. I'm trying, man. I'm trying. I'm actually out there physically trying.
Every politician who dares to open their mouths against you, you need to go to your Oklahoma website. I'm sure you got an elections commission, and find out what they spent in their last campaigns, and that tells you what you have to spend to beat them. Start there.
Not that I'm going to run, believe me. I don't want to.
You don't have to run. You can be like the Koch brothers.
Else.
Hey, you can just be like the Koch brothers and just say, hey, I'm the one who finances the people who run. But once you got the money, you can dictate to the political candidates what their positions are going to be. You can get this $5,000, but you going to run on this platform. Or I will give this money to somebody who will. And that's the way it works.
Okay.
That's what got Eric Harris killed. Because the guy who owned the insurance company parted with $2,500 to get on the police force, and Eric Harris probably spent $2,500 on rims and shoes. I'm not trying to disrespect the dead. I'm just saying, can we be honest? Black males are getting killed by white cops, and our footwear is immaculate. Trayvon Martin, Tamir Rice, our footwear is immaculate when we're getting our heads blown off. Time for us to spend our money on something else than some damn shoes.
You're not the truth.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Please do check in with us again.
Okay.
Let's see if we can grab another phone call here. Caller from 510, you're on live with the Black Channel.
Okay, good.
Caller from 510,
Hello.
last try, you're on live with the Black Channel.
Hello.
Yes,
Hello.
you're on live.
Okay, this is Will.
This is Will calling from where?
From Oakland, California.
And what's on your mind?
Just kind of looking at how things have just been going to where it is kind of bad. It is bad that people keep yelling about forgiving as opposed to taking action and painting this dude as a monster when he really is a monster. I mean, if they keep forgiving him, they're gonna make it so light that they're gonna let him go.
Well, I mean, they already want to let him go. We are killing our own. You have a public uproar about these things, and we kill our own public uproar.
Yeah, we water it down. Just like we start off with Black Lives, they go to Brown Lives Matter, and it goes to Everybody Lives Matter. It don't even matter no more then.
And once everybody's lives matter, nothing matters.
Right. And it's just sad to see that just continues and continues and continues. And if this backlash is, I believe that it's going to get even more worse because we're only in the second or third week of April, and we got 2 more weeks to go, and people are not waking up.
Well, I mean, the reason that you can't say all lives matter is because they're not killing everybody. They're only killing black folk.
Exactly. They're killing black men, black young boys, and then women. I haven't heard any young black girls getting killed. But and the women, I hate to say it, most of the women look at it as, oh, you're just being negative. Oh, you're just being negative. And you need to go out and do something different. When they're so blind, just like what's his name, Rice's wife, Adrian Peterson's baby's mama. I mean, they don't look at what's really going on and what's really going down, because even like this with the feminist movement, most of the black women went to the feminist movement, screwed up the black movement. What happened to that? I just have a problem with all that.
Well, you said they haven't killed the black girls yet. I mean, Ayanna Jones, 6-7 years old, marched right in with the first 48 filming it, shot her in the head. So, I mean, brother, it's full speed. A lot of people, the reality hasn't caught up to them yet. They haven't taken recognition that the reality has caught up to them yet. So, but the war is in full swing. Rakia Boyd is showing you that. It's in full swing.
And they don't know that, they don't understand that the only thing they're becoming is that man's slave again. And most of they can say is, oh, I don't care. But they'll care when they got to walk with them shackles. They'll care when they being told what to do and getting slapped in the head and can't press charges. Because at the point when they put those codes out there to the point of you can't press charges against another white person because you're black. And they don't hear that.
Well, like I say, brother, at this point in history that we're living in, everybody knows what time it is. Everybody knows what we're up against. Everybody knows who the enemy is. Everybody knows what's wrong. There's just those who are going to see what's wrong and get up and do something about it. And those who see what's wrong and just go back to picking the cotton, and they pray to themselves that today won't be their day, that their number comes up. I'll let you have the last word.
Keep doing a great job, brother. You and Tariq are doing a magnificent job of waking up folks and trying to put the word out. It's just sad that folks are not listening or paying attention or actually believing it, because there's too much denial. And we got to get out of denial and stop fighting each other and start working with each other.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Brother. Please do check in again. Let me get caller from 718. You're on live with the Black Channel.
Yes, hello?
Yes, you're on live.
Yes, this is Alan from New York.
Alan from New York, you need to turn off your speakers.
I'm sorry. Well, to me, I believe in my head I got an answer for all of this. It's basically you're going to have to enslave ourselves again to ourselves, basically, and turn this into like a black corporation, so on and so forth. First, I believe we need to buy the land, and then turn around, build your own houses, your own businesses, your own industry, and so on and so forth. From there, you pretty much get everything else going, basically. And once you got that all down, like your own security, your own police, so on and so forth, what can they basically tell you to do? You're sitting up there, you're paying the taxes, so on and so forth. And once you have your own black town, your own township, your own protection, so on and so forth, you know what can they really do from there? Then once this is being shown to everybody else, you can start making little patches across the whole entire United States. Hello?
Okay, what we have right now, you've actually got several areas in America that are already densely populated. You've already got
No.
that.
What I'm talking about is...
Hold on a second.
Hold
on a moment. What you've got right now in America is several places that are already densely black populated. You got Philadelphia. You got Atlanta. You got Southside Chicago. The list goes on. Now, that means you've already got your population there. So we don't have to run around and find a group of black folk who are somewhere. As long as they're living there, that's the start. As long as they're living there. What we need is the ability to kick enough people in the ass that they stop sitting up here settling for a menial, cowardly existence. What you need are power brokers. And you only need a few.
Yeah.
You only need a few. We don't need dozens of those. We just need 10 in every city. Concentrated in those black areas. Once you got a Don Corleone of that area, then you can start calling hands and getting people to bend to your will. That's what you need. Once you do that, everything, all those other things roll from there. Because right now, in the situation that we're in, we don't really have an alternative. Because everybody wants to opt out and go. What is happening instead is everybody wants to opt out and say, well, I will get my support inside white society. I'll get a county check. I'll get, a little old rinky-dink job. I'll get my support over there. And as long as white society is able to give us better alternatives, we're not going to move them.
What I'm trying to get at is, if where you live at, you got to pay the property tax. You're either paying rent, you're either paying mortgage, you're paying the electricity, you're paying the gas, you're paying for the water, you're paying for the sewer. If you get the black community out of that, and they have themselves a home that does everything for itself, and the land is being owned by somebody that we know, you're not going to get charged these taxes. You're not going to be charged for property tax and all this other stuff and rent if you have yourself an entrepreneur that can do that, and you have the land, so on and so forth, and it's private land basically. So how you going if your house is already built and business is already built? How you going to see any police officers that don't look like you coming into your? They have to get permission.
Yeah, you
know what I'm saying? Because now it's private ground.
Yeah, you're right, but I mean, the way you're explaining is not correct. I mean, it doesn't matter who owns the land. Somebody's got to pay the property taxes. There's no such thing as tax-free land.
Understandable, but I understand that. But this is what I'm saying.
Stop for a moment. Stop for a moment. You've already explained it. It's not like we didn't hear you. You have already explained it. We got it. And all you're doing is re-explaining it. You're not helping yourself. Even if you have what you said, well, if it's just a single entrepreneur who owns the land, well, then if it's 500 acres, guess what? He's got to pay the taxes on 500 acres by your own description for a bunch of other people who are homesteading on 500 acres. That doesn't make financial sense at all. He's just going to charity away land to people? That doesn't make any sense.
No, but if you're building businesses on it and industry.
Okay, but that wouldn't be a single person owning it then.
No, you turn the whole thing into a corporation.
Okay.
Everybody owns it.
Oh, okay, then if everybody owns it, then nobody owns it.
You have rural areas, like let's say I'll give you an example, just out of California and Nevada, they're giving away big, large plots of land. Now, if somebody says, well, building houses cost too much, no, that's not true, because there's a guy called Mike Reynolds. He built something called an Earthship, which he got one down to like $5,000. Well, there you go. You got the housing. It collects the rainwater. It has the solar power. It has the water. So basically, you have a house amongst itself that does everything for itself, basically. Now you're teaching people how to build that, do construction at the same time, and then turn around. The big market right now that I'm looking into is bamboo flooring. That's easy to do. Bamboo grows like crazy. You got that. Once you start building those buildings, you start making bakeries.
I noticed that as I get further along in doing my broadcasting and stuff, I notice that a lot of people who used to call Tariq apparently call me, is what happens. Because I don't usually get calls like this. Tariq usually gets a call like this. I usually don't get these kind of calls. Brother, what you're saying is absolutely impractical. I am sure that your heart is in the right place. What you're saying has not been done, and it hasn't been done for a reason, because what you're describing is communism. And that goes against...
No. I'm not.
Okay.
I am not describing anything that's communism.
Brother, stop for a moment. I'll let you finish your sentence. What you are describing is communism. You can call it whatever you want to make yourself feel better about it. But that is...
No.
You're calling it a corporation, and in reality it's communism. You've already said it. Everybody owns it. That is the very definition of communal. Communism. Everybody owns it. Nobody has a superior over anybody else. You cannot build wealth under a communist system, and not an improvised communist system either. Now, people are going to have to own something. And the individual, let me put that in big bold letters right now. The individual is going to have to own something. Because right now we got great big ass housing projects that everybody owns. And Section 8 housing that everybody owns. And ain't nothing getting done. Question: if what you're describing were so viable and so effective, give me a working example of that exists among white people that's accomplishing it the way that you're describing that exists right now. Go.
Let's see. The banksters, the banks, the Rockefellers.
Excuse me. No, it's not. Show me where they got people living on their land, hundreds of people who own a corporation that the land is owned through.
There is no example.
Okay. Thank you. Now, let's stop living in dream worlds, okay? Let's get back into the adult world and stay there. Get your power, wealth, and influence together. You want a communal something? Get you 5 black folk together. Y'all stop assing around. You get 25,000, they get 25,000 each, and you all go and buy a building, a hardware store. Get one built from the ground up. Make it a Dollar General. Make it a Family Dollar. I don't give a damn what you make it. But start building something that you actually own today. And once you build that one, instead of trying to build a communal system of loafers sitting around doing nothing, why don't you sit up here and start with one building? And then when that does well, you can just build an add-on to it. Get another business there. Put a laundromat. Build an add-on to that. Put a convenience store and a gas station. Next thing you know, now you have a shopping plaza. Now you're calling hands. Didn't need hundreds of people sitting on no land and no corporation. It just took 5 guys who were done bull jiving around. Now, if you got a plan to get hundreds of people, surely you can get together 5. What do you say?
Sounds like a plan.
All right. Well, get back to me when you have the plan together.
If you're surrounded by their system,
oh boy,
and you try to get something done,
all right, by their
and
system,
then they're smacking it down.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
Show me where they're smacking it down at. Show me.
Harlem.
Harlem is a bunch of cowards. Harlem is a bunch of cowards who surrendered. Want to try again? I did a documentary about Harlem.
Got you. All right. What
Whoa,
about
whoa, whoa, whoa,
downtown
whoa.
Brooklyn?
No. Grown men sitting around coming up with fantasy world explanations. You just said Harlem as if that was a real example, and it's not.
Harlem used to have a Renaissance period and plenty of businesses up there.
And
they
what
gentrified
happened?
the whole entire area.
And what happened? You act like gentrification was not something that black folk were complicit in. You act like that's something that happened against black people's will. Now that's the way you just described it, as if, that we were just sitting there minding our own business and they gentrified us.
No, nobody.
You have not explained what is gentrification.
We can go through the whole
Brother,
history
what is gentrification?
On how they brung everything down. We can go through the whole
Okay,
entire history.
I'm not going to ask again.
But again,
what is gentrification?
Gentrification is moving one group of people out and putting another select
By
group
what
of
means?
people in.
By what means?
By devastating them socially
Wrong.
and economically.
Economically, not socially. Economically. Racism is not a social issue. It's an economic issue.
Okay, then once they show you the bad programming, gangsters all the time, this, that, and the third, all bad images, you won't have no confidence within yourself or the people around you.
Television show is not going to undo 18 years of good home training by what's supposed to be your parents.
Mm-hmm.
Go on. Back up. Back up. Now explain to me how television undoes 18 years of good home training.
Okay, you have both your parents working.
No,
You're
18 years of good home training.
If you have a child and you're working, and the wife is working, or the husband is working, and your child is a latchkey kid, all right? The only thing they're going to do is do their homework and watch television.
Okay, that's not good home training. That's not good home training. So you're making my point for me. Grown men living in fantasy worlds. Then they wonder why New York is in the shape it is for black folk. Grown men, y'all. These are grown men. When you ask them adult questions, and these are the responses that we get.
I'm giving you the response.
Okay, see, it's your job to raise your child.
It's little by little, and little by little.
It is your job to raise your child.
If you're working hard.
It's your job to raise your child. That's your job.
Understand that.
Then there's nothing else to say. Then there's nothing else to say. It's not television's fault.
16 hours in a day just to keep a roof over your head.
Then it sounds like you shouldn't have had a child.
Make sure all the bills is paid.
Then it sounds like you shouldn't have had a child. Hey, it sounds like you shouldn't have had a child.
What I'm trying to get
Excuse me. It sounds like you shouldn't have had a child. Because it sounds like you can't afford them.
Children.
No, they're not. This is y'all grown men, y'all, grown men. This is the answers we get from grown men. These are supposedly grown men.
Everybody around the world has children.
Wrong.
Rich or poor,
Wrong. And these are supposedly grown men, y'all, and then they can't wonder why we got white think tanks that are kicking their asses with one toe. These are the grown black men. This is it right here. This is what we got leading us. This is as high as the IQ gets to lead us. Everybody has kids, even if they're poor and impoverished. No, everybody has kids.
Whoa! What did you? Are you looking at the whole entire world?
Yes, I am.
Even somebody that lives on $1 a day, they have children.
Wrong.
So basically, if you
do you know how foolish you're sounding right now? That's wrong. That's just flat out false.
Everybody across the world is not having children. Have you even
flat out
looked
false.
at any documentaries on just about how many children are being born across the entire world?
I don't have children.
And their children being barely taken care of.
I don't have children.
That's your choice.
Okay, you just said everybody's having children. It's a choice to have children.
I'm talking about around the world.
Okay, it's a choice to have. Excuse me. It is a choice.
If you can't
that is a choice.
Child, why have a child? A child is not an accessory.
That is a choice. You don't have children until you can afford them. That's called a choice, as you just said. That's a choice. Now you want to act like, oh, no, it's not a choice. You have to do it. So you're lying on yourself somewhere. Is it a choice or is it not?
The choice of, wait, You're talking about procreation.
Sir, I asked you a direct
giving
question.
yourself-
You said that having children was my choice. Does everybody
It's
else
your
have?
choice.
Do the rest of the people on the planet have the same choice that I have?
Procreation is a
Sir,
human instinct.
I'm not going to
basically.
ask. I'm not going to ask again. I'll just drop your call for being a troll. Does everybody have the same choice I have?
Yes, they do.
Okay. So, as I said from the beginning, and you have now finally conceded, everybody does not have to have children. It is a choice. You don't just wake up one day and being a parent. So you made a choice to have kids under bad circumstances. You are supposed to wait until the circumstances are good so that your children have the best chance of competing against the rest of these people who waited until the circumstances were good to give their kids the best chance. Because it is a choice. And we as black people make stupid ass choices. With folks sitting up in front of us talking about everybody around the world had children. Even if you broke it, even if you a broke ass, you got kids. This is what's leading us, everybody. We're not we got to, and then we wonder why we don't have anything. Then we wonder why we don't have nothing. Because the men are out here saying, I gotta have kids. Everybody's having kids, and then you don't care under what circumstances you have them.
Kids, man.
People sit up and say dumb things like the white population is dropping. The white population is not dropping. The white population is equalizing. It's meeting equilibrium. They're the richest people on earth. Therefore, they don't have to invest in children anymore. They've got assets. They don't have to invest in having a bunch of kids anymore.
Agreed, but they got those assets by doing trifling things to get it.
Okay, that doesn't matter. Okay, and that matters why. And that matters why. Why does that matter?
Because they did the colonialism.
Okay, why does that matter? Okay, you just keep saying they did Native Americans. Tell me why that matters. Are you incapable of understanding a word? The word is why. Why does it matter? Why does it matter whether it was trifling?
They had the gunpowder. They had the guns.
Okay.
They had the means.
Last time, because we're having a Waldo Faldo moment here. You're having great difficulty with the English language. Why does that matter? Why? Who cares? Trifling or not, what difference does it make?
That's why we're in the situation that we're in right now.
Okay, and so what? This is what I mean, y'all. If you want to know why black women don't respect black men, because this is the majority of black males out there, you ask him a question, he can't lead, he doesn't know the answer, but he keeps talking rather than just being quiet and saying, ooh, I don't know. It's a simple question, and you know that you should know the answer to such a simplistic question, but you don't know it. Why does it matter? You're talking about it's trifling, but there are no rules in war.
Understandable.
Okay, then there's no such thing as trifling. Then there's no such thing as trifling. That's called whining. There is whining in war. There is whining in war. There is whining in war. There is not trifling. There is whining, though. The guy who's getting his ass beat, he's whining. The guy who's whipping his ass, it doesn't matter whether it was a left hook, an elbow, or a kick to the groin. He's not trifling.
Agreed.
He's winning. He's winning.
Agreed.
He's winning. The guy who was dumb enough to let him do that is complaining.
Agreed.
He's being trifling.
Listen, agreed.
As soon as they pulled out the smallpox blankets, we should have pulled them out. As soon as they came to Africa with the gunpowder, we should have pulled it out.
To get back.
It's not same tactics of anything. It's called survival.
Got you. But can black folks come to these tactics to do the same thing they did and get power back?
Yeah, that's what everybody else is doing. The Arabs ain't playing no games with these white folk. They're jacking up the oil prices. They're bombing buildings. They're blowing up planes. They knocked down the damn World Trade Towers. Where the hell you been? The Chinese ain't playing no games. They're stealing every single patent that's moving. Espionage, computer hacking, they're all over it. Taking away the manufacturing base, slave labor, they doing whatever the hell they got to do. Where you been?
Agreed. No, I've been watching.
The Latinos, the Mexicans, they're storming the damn fences of the borders. If they were armed, that would be a military. So, like I said, the only people who ain't got it
is us.
Should we do that right there? No, we should just sit here and keep doing what we're doing right now. It's working so well. Yeah, it's working great.
Agreed. But where is the plan? I'm putting up a plan. Can anybody support the plan or just try to change it
brother,
or tweak it a little bit?
We don't want to hear your plans no more. I want to see what you've done. Show me what you've done. Then I'll believe you got a plan. I don't believe you have a plan. I think you're lying. Show me your proof you got a plan.
I have an idea of a plan.
You have an idea. Okay. Now, do you know that you couldn't even get a patent? Did you know that?
A patent on, what do you mean a patent?
You couldn't even get a patent on whatever idea you got right now. You couldn't get a patent, a copyright, or a trademark. No, you don't. You know why? Because the law states that you cannot patent, copyright, or trademark something until it is committed to a tangible medium. So as long as it's in your head, it doesn't exist.
Understandable.
We got to get off the make-believe stuff. I want to see where your building is. I want to see where your funds are. I want to see where your capital is. Until you got that, brother, you ain't got no plan. You've got, as you said, an idea. And that's why all these other things you've been saying have been coming up, because you don't actually have anything tangible. You're trying to figure out how you can get something for nothing. You are trying to figure out how you can get something for nothing, and it doesn't work that way. Ain't no rich benefactor going to come along and buy 500 acres to give it to you so you can put a $5,000 garage on it and call it a house and then do nothing from there. If you can get $5,000 for a house, you can pay the rent in Harlem and get up off your ass where you're at. That's an excuse saying, well, if we do this over here, we're going to get out of what we should be doing in Harlem already. Get up and do it where you are right now. You can do it right where you are. The only thing that's preventing you is people don't want to. Because black men are used to being wards of the state so long that we want people to hold us like big-ass babies in diapers and burp us on our backs. And then they wonder why they're blowing our heads off. Because they don't see us as men. They see us as children. And that makes it easier to kill us.
So the big question is, what is the plan? That's the big question.
I've already explained it to you. So, did you hear the previous call?
We can't use the leaders. I guess we have to use ourselves.
You
or
think?
Probably use our family.
Okay.
And then turn around. You can go to the banks, but I'd rather borrow money from my family, basically.
No, I don't. I've never had.
And then probably get one.
I have never had to get a substantial loan from a bank.
Agreed. Because either way, they're gonna kill you in the long run. So the next thing is, where the land. There's land out there, but you have to understand the person that owns the land, they don't technically have to give it to you. I've been through that situation plenty times before.
Okay, well, don't get
so
anything you don't
own.
own.
I come to the door, they jump back.
Okay, well, that's your fault. I just did a documentary with Don Peebles, the 5th richest black man in America. Assets of $1 billion. So, and he's got an office in New York City. You ain't gonna get no sympathy from me. You're not gonna get any sympathy from me from what you just said. Those are excuses. You know why we got the iPhone today? We have the iPhone because when people said that you can't get a flat screen that small and that flat, Steve Jobs said, fire that guy and get me somebody who can. We are not going to make any money whining about what can't be done. You make money by making it happen. The guy who says what can't be done, fire him.
Now, you just listen to exactly what you just said. You fire the guy that says it can't be done.
Yes, you fire him.
And I put an idea there, and you saying it can't be done. We're living in a dreamland.
You just said a few moments ago that, if I go to talk to people about getting some land, as soon as they see me, they jump back.
I got you on that, but I'm talking about way before.
Okay, that's what I was talking about.
You just made a point about Steve Jobs saying we can't get a flat screen that small, fire that guy. Now, I just put up an idea on how to get some land, build an Earthship house that does everything for you, that's built by Mike Reynolds. All you do is just buy the plans and everything. You're saying it can't be done.
No, you say you want to get a big corporation with a bunch of people, and all of them have a bunch of earth houses. OMG. Okay, enough talking. Why don't you go show us? Don't tell us anymore. Now that you told us what your plan is, go show us. Go show us your proof of concept. Show it in action, so we can see.
Okay.
So we can see it.
Okay.
$5,000. You ought to be able to get that in just 2 months. That shouldn't take you no time at all. Definitely 6 months. You ought to have that in no time, and then you can show us in action what you're talking about, and show us it working.
Okay.
So you'll give me a call back when you got that?
Of course.
Okay. We'll be waiting to hear from you. And then
All
you can call back and say, see, I told you. And I'll be like, everybody, hey, he told me. I didn't think you could do it, but man, he showed me.
Yeah.
I've been doing this all wrong. I've been wasting tens of thousands of dollars on buildings and lawyers. I could have just done what he said and made this a whole lot easier.
Well, sir, at least we had this conversation, so now we get some things aired out.
Okay, well, let me know when you got that done, and we'll be glad to hear from you.
All right.
Thank you very much for giving us a call. OMGGG. Caller from 618, you're on live with the Black Channel.
I had to control myself. Remember, he's still a child.
Yeah.
Yes, remember he's still a child.
He ain't getting on my fucking ride no more.
Oh, really?
That ass won't something got to figure it out himself. That pissed me the fuck off.
I'm sure a lot makes you upset.
I'm mad at you because you didn't stand up. You didn't stand up, and you couldn't have this stuff.
Yikes. Seems
Your
we...
ass gonna be figuring it out when you ain't got no gas. For nothing not having gas.
Sounds like we've interrupted a nigga moment.
When you get
Okay. They decided to dismiss us from the conversation. I was going to let that play for a minute right there. I was going to say, fellas, when you broke, I don't care how fat and loud she is, she ain't going to mind her manners. Caller from 214, you're on live with the Black Channel. Caller.
Listening.
Okay, you follow the directions and press the number 1. It's not hard. Caller from 863, you're on live with the Black Channel.
Donovan from Florida.
Oh, Lord. Somebody calling from a soup can. Let me give you a few moments here. Whoever you are, if you're on a speakerphone or something, I need for you to take it off a speaker or something. Better yet, let me put you back on hold here and see if I can get you off of that. Try something a little bit different here. Let me get caller from 205. You're on live with the Black Channel. The Ku Klux Klan is lighting up my phone lines tonight.
Hello.
Yes, caller from 205. You're on.
Hey, I just plugged in. I didn't know I was just on like that.
Okay.
But I've been listening to you for a while, though, bro. I was just listening in right now, see where the conversation going. I don't know what's happening right now.
Okay, well, let's just, he's, in the middle of, I have no idea what he's in the middle of here. Let me go back and try this one more time. This is what wears me out, everybody. Caller from 863, we'll try this one more time. You're on live with the Black Channel.
How's it going, CBA? This is Donovan from Florida.
Donovan from Florida, what's on your mind, brother?
You know, I think that other brother who just spoke about that bamboo flooring and building like those houses, I thought that was a brilliant idea, actually. And I think that I would support that. I would definitely support that. I think that we need to come together as black people with ideas like that and trade with our people in Africa with no homes over there living in the bushes like that. That's where the money's at. It's in we have to sell to our people, but we have to give up on people who's taking white dollars because they're being bought and paid for by white society.
Why is it you don't?
Most of the guys.
Why is it that you have
Sir?
immigrants from Asia, India, the Middle East? Why is it with all those immigrants from all those other places that none of them are trying to do what he's talking about doing? Why is it nobody's done it?
Because I'll tell you, TBA, the reason why is because they weren't slaves in this country.
Okay, no.
Sold and traded and
it's the 21st century
for money.
But it's the 21st century,
Sir?
and nobody is trying to do
It's
that.
Exactly.
Why
But you
is it
have a
nobody's
few,
doing
very
it
few.
today?
Only the intelligent black society, which we like to tune in here, only very few want to make a difference.
Okay, but why is it nobody is? Why is it that nobody is trying to do what he's talking about today? Why is it no one is if it's such a good idea? Shouldn't the white supremacists and the Asians and the Arabs be all over that if it's such a good idea?
Let me tell you something, TBA.
Whoa!
They wanna-
No! You don't,
I was gonna ask
you
you a
don't
question.
bypass my question. Why is it that they're not doing
Yes,
it
sir.
if it's such a great idea? Shouldn't they already be
I'm
on
gonna
it?
tell you, they don't want to do it because, first of all, they can care less about black people, and they're not gonna try to trade the black people.
But that doesn't
Unless
matter.
they're
No.
trading black people.
No. Why don't they do it with their own people? You got Arabs coming over here. They're all up there in Detroit. You got Asians. You got Latinos coming here from Mexico. Why aren't they doing that with their own people?
TBA, they're not doing it with their own people because it's not their idea.
Sir, if
It's our
that idea, that's not our idea. What are you talking about?
Well, this is what I'm saying.
It's
They're
called
not
low
doing it.
income
Who cares what
housing.
they're doing?
Whoa, it's called
Why are we trying to-
It
why are
is
we trying
called
to
low income housing.
Compete.
White folk
Sir?
white folk invented low income housing. What are you talking about?
I'm not talking about just low income housing. I'm talking about an entire market. We have to source the market, create the market, sell the market, and know how to have that resource. He just created a resource that is tangible, which is bamboo flooring. And we can look into that. I don't know anything about it, but it sounds pretty interesting to me. And then if we can talk about building solar homes that basically take care of themselves. White people have tried that here and there. Everybody doesn't do it. But we live in America where you just want buy and consume. And those people who consume, forget about living in the real world. Look at the rest of Black America. They're not with us here in intelligent Black society. So
Okay,
I
you
think
have not
that-
explained why. You just rambled on for 2 minutes and did not once explain why all these other groups are racist. Ain't nobody trying to touch no idea like that. And they're kicking our butts. Now, if this idea was so golden, how in the hell is it that they all just ain't trying to go for it and they're kicking our butts?
TBA, just like they probably think the same as you think for that idea. It's a trash idea. Just like people thought that, just like Steve Jobs got an idea, figured out how to do it cheap,
No, what are you talking
and then
about?
everybody wanted to jump on board.
What are you Steve Jobs had an idea and found out how to do it cheap. What are you talking about?
Okay, he figured out how to build an iPhone, and he had all the resources he needed because he was able to go talk to people within his own society, as far as whites, to back him financially. Because if you're going to go get a loan from the bank without an agenda, I'm not sure they're going to loan you the money like that. That's why Black people think they don't have no resources, because we have to go work, come up with $80,000 and try to start a $20,000 business. And then
You
the
realize
business
you're
fails in
rambling,
5
don't
years.
you? You
I'm
do
sorry, could you
you do
repeat that?
realize you're rambling, don't you? You do realize that.
Well,
don't
I'm
you?
trying to. Well, TBA, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to support our black ideas, and I'm trying to get them out there. Like, we can make a difference. We can make money. What's putting up a Walmart when you can create what's putting up a dollar store trying to sell to black people that's not going to go to your dollar store because they don't support their own here in America? I mean, I gave up on, all the blacks come, and I know you have too, because you said you're not with Black Unity. So all the black people aren't going to want to be intelligent. There's only going to be that 1% of blacks that's going to actually make it somewhere and do something and be billionaires. And there's just like that 1% in white America that or 5%, or that 1% of white America that make the big dollars, and everybody else just going out there. And of course, as long as white people had us as slaves, they're going to be racist to us. They're always going to. We're not going to take over a white regime here in America by starting businesses and trying to trade amongst our own people here in America. If we only own a half of 1% of all of the wealth in the United States, how are we gonna be able to multiply that?
And brothers
if we're
and
only
sisters,
selling to ourselves?
brothers and sisters, the average black female knows the answer to that question. Donovan represents the average black male. We've had 2 of them in a row. And then they wonder why our women look down on us.
No, the average black male doesn't want to come up with ideas. They want to go
but you don't have an
and
idea.
trade
But
drugs.
you don't have an idea. Okay, but the problem is you don't have an idea. That's the problem. You don't have one.
Right.
But the problem is you don't have an idea. You just think you do. But you don't.
Well, TBA, my idea.
Your idea is not even rooted in math.
Of black people, sir.
Brother, what you just said disqualifies you from speaking on this subject again. You just sat here and said that with $1.2 trillion, how do we build an economy with $1.2 trillion?
No, I'm saying if 1% of half, or you said that black people wealth in the world is like a half or 1% of a trillion or something like that. I forgot how you said it, but I heard that on another a broadcast of yours. And I'm saying, how do you multiply that when you're trading it within your own people? And they don't even want to support you because they're
technically we would qualify as the 9th richest nation on earth as a people if we aggregated our wealth. We would be the 9th richest nation on earth without moving. Right where we're at right now.
Are you talking about
excuse me,
Black America?
Right where we're at right now, we would constitute the 9th richest nation on earth. Right where we are right now, without any changes, just where we are tonight. And you are telling me that we can't do nothing with that. That was what you just said. Now he's about to backtrack here in just a moment because the light bulb's about to go on here in just a second.
No, I'm not going to backtrack. I'm going to stick with it, TBA.
Okay. Well, you said that we can't build it. You said we can't build an economy with that in America. Now, why can't we build an economy in America? Tell me why.
Because we're dependent on a handout. A loan. Everything's based off credit.
No, it's not.
So how can you start a business?
Lord Almighty. This is
TBA. Everything's based on credit. I heard you say that before.
I've never said that. I said that you definitely want to have credit if you're going to go into business. Absolutely. But if you can't get credit, that's not the end of the world. And furthermore, we're talking about the money that we have, not credit. We're talking about the money that we have.
But, okay, TBA, let me try to explain what I meant by economy. We need some type of resources, though.
Okay.
We need resources.
Okay.
And most cultures that have resources in this country have those resources locked down.
Okay.
It's hard to elbow somebody else's economic structure when you don't have
any
Okay,
power,
I asked you,
any back.
just like the previous caller, I asked you a direct question and you haven't answered it because you don't know, because your rationale is falling apart. Why can't we do all those
do
things?
do you
Why?
know,
Excuse me, I'm going to ask again. Why is it that we cannot do those things that you said right here in America? Why is it we can't do it right here?
I don't think that we can do it here in America because there's too many black people who depend on white dollars.
Okay, and where would you like to go where that is not the case?
Well, the entire planet is the case.
So your plan is, I don't want to do it in America because too many, excuse me, I don't want to do it in America
I'd
because
do it in Africa.
I don't want to do it in
actually,
America.
no one's going over there spending money in Africa like that.
Are you kidding me?
In the majority of Africa.
Are you kidding me?
Okay.
Whoa.
There's only a couple.
Are you kidding
Nigeria?
me?
Okay, I'm sorry.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding.
This is why our women and other ethnic groups, by the way, this is why other ethnicities have no respect for black males. None whatsoever. You ain't heard about
People show me respect.
You have not heard about the Russian. I don't know why, other than talking to me. You don't know about the Russians, the British, the French, the Chinese, the Japanese, the Arabs. They are all over. Whoa, they are all. Whoa. They're all over Africa, spending not millions, billions. They're spending billions in Africa.
Doing what?
Oh my God.
Medicine. I'm trying to come here to figure out how we can overcome racism.
Okay.
And
we're
white
gonna
supremacy without.
Okay, we're going back to your plan.
Getting on.
We're going back to your plan now. You said that we can't do it in America. We're going to go to Africa. Please tell me, where in Africa are we going to build this economy that we couldn't build in America because too many people were dependent on, quote, the white man's dollar? Where in Africa are we going to start? Tell me.
West Africa.
West Africa. Okay. Tell me geographically, tell me the longitude and latitude that we're going to. Where, when we get off the plane, where are we going to go to West Africa?
I don't know all of that. Like I said, I don't know this man's whole layout and this whole plan, but it sounds like it can make money. It sounds like easy resource in bamboo.
Okay, what did you think his?
Like we can have.
What did you think his plan was?
We have land.
Articulate for me again, because he explained it several times. Explain to me what you think his plan was.
Okay. I felt like his plan was.
No, not felt. He said.
And I'm not talking all of his plan, but I'm talking about building homes and buildings and stuff like that.
Oh, not all of it. So now you can't remember what his plan actually was, and you're saying, "Well, let me."
Yeah, I can remember. Let me remember the intelligent part. What I thought.
Yeah, let me ad lib here because I can't quite remember what he said, but let me ad lib. All right. Where are you gonna go that white supremacy cannot do all the things that it's doing here in America? Where are you gonna go? West Africa.
Well, TBA,
West Africa is a pronoun. West Africa is not a place.
Why is everything a mission impossible here, TBA?
No, it's not mission impossible. This is mission impractical, what you're giving us. What you're doing is fine for Sesame Street and 4-year-olds. It's not good for adults. I asked you, where are you going to go? You don't know. I asked you what you're going to do when you get there. You don't know. You yourself said we ain't got no resources. So you don't know where you're going. You don't know how you're going to get there, and you don't have. Slow down.
If we can.
Slow down.
Okay.
This is not the Talk Over Jason broadcast. You were asked all those questions, and you responded, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know how I'm going to get there, and I don't know what resource. I don't have any resources when I do get there. But this is going to be the bomb, baby. Now, that was what you said. that we're going to pack
what
up
if
and
we
leave
can-
America and have an advantage by going on this wandering in the wilderness.
Right, because TBA, let me just say something right quick. You know, a lot of cultures in Africa, like they're not an industrial culture. As far as they're not going around trying to have these big brick mansions. You know, I watched a documentary on a couple of nights back, and they were living in like huts and stuff like that. But what if you can make a hut out of bamboo and put solar panels and that type of stuff, and learn solar panels, and we can try to work something out to where a house basically take care of itself, and we can do bamboo. That's easy. All we got to do is grow bamboo. Where are we going to grow it at? Well, like he said, we have to go see if we can get some land. And
Okay, brother. So are you trying to
Once
say
we-
that you think the problem in Africa is a housing shortage? That's basically what you're saying.
no, I think the problem in Africa
I mean, that's what
is
you just
that
said.
it's too divided.
Whoa, but you
There's
just
no-
said that's what we're
it's
going to
just
do. Whoa, but you just said we're going to engage in home building as commerce. That's what you just said.
Right.
You just said that. So you think that the problem is we can build an economy in Africa based on Africa's housing shortage.
Right. No one else is doing that.
So you think that West Africa has a housing shortage.
No, I just said West Africa to just say it. Basically,
Okay.
I want to try to go to find out which places where we can find a
Brother, you think
demographic.
so
to
what
sell
you're
to.
so what you're saying is that you think that in 2015 that we can make a killing building bamboo huts in Nigeria, in Kenya, and in
Not Nigeria.
Ethiopia. Okay, in
Nigeria's ran by
Ethiop-
white people.
Ethiopia, Rwanda, name it. It doesn't matter.
Not Rwanda.
And you said Nigeria is run by white people. Tell me the area of Africa that's
Yeah.
not. Excuse me. Tell me the area of Africa that is not run by white people. Tell me.
Well, we have to change something, man.
Sir,
and
sir,
you're
whoa,
basically-
you
from what
just
I'm
said
getting-
no. You just said not in Nigeria because it's run by white folk. So if you're going to say not in Nigeria, tell me where we going that they don't run it. Since we can't
well,
go there.
We can actually set our stakes in and take over. I mean, at the end of the day, wherever you go, wherever you want to have power, wealth, and influence, you got to be ready to die for it. And,
In the 21st century,
you know, white
you
people-
are advocating that Africans in the 21st century should start building bamboo huts as suitable housing.
You're trying to industrialize the entire world and say that's where the money's at when it's already all of it's
Have you seen new construction in Africa?
got all of it got European flags on it.
Have you actually seen the new construction going on in Africa? Have you actually seen any new construction going on there?
No, sir, I haven't seen it.
In Nigeria, Gambia, Ethiopia, Nigeria. Have you actually seen any of the new construction going on there?
No, sir.
I mean, talking about Africans in bamboo huts? Oh my God.
Well, look, I just want us to be able to come up with some idea and be able to sell it to our own people. Because obviously we're the most hated species on the planet of humans. You know, everyone hates us. Everywhere. And they get mad if anybody who got black in them from wherever they at. So we have to learn how to trade amongst ourselves and still be able to trade with other cultures.
Okay, everybody here wants to
build something.
fantasize about going back to Africa. Brother, if you have not perfected the ability to trade with each other in America where you know the language. You damn sure have enough incentive to do it because your lives are on the line. If you haven't been able to perfect that skill here, what makes you think you're going to get to Africa and poof, wave a magic wand, and all of a sudden you got
I'm not saying that
excuse
it's
me.
impossible here,
How are you
but
going to
I
say
think
that?
it's
Excuse me.
impractical here.
How are you going to say that?
We're
Whoa!
We're too moderate.
Hey, we're not going to go that again.
Okay.
Now, you say that you're going to exercise a discipline on African soil that you have failed to exercise here. Mystically, magically, you're going to wake up one morning in Africa
We don't
and do
have
something you didn't do here?
TBA.
What do numbers have to do with anything? Tell me what the accurate numbers would need to be. Tell me.
I mean, when it comes to, are you going to protect whatever you're standing for? We don't have the numbers to do that.
I asked you, what is the number?
Here.
What is the number that would make it possible? What's the number?
90% of the population.
Okay, so we need to be 90% of the population. So in other words, you're saying we need to be Detroit. So in other words, you're saying we need to be Detroit.
Okay.
So what's wrong? Why is it not happening there?
Because
I'm
a
listening.
bunch of bastard baby makers have sons,
All right, y'all.
go out, and they don't start any businesses. They're only working. Basically, Detroit is a bunch of white men came up with ideas, built the way they're gonna build a mechanism to furnish their ideas, and then they sent black people there to work and do that idea, and then they traded amongst Europe and the rest of the Americas to make billions of dollars profit off of it.
And
I'm thinking that what these people are doing is they're coming up with an idea, they're getting backing from a bank to be able to furnish that mechanism or come up with a mechanism to where everything falls in place, and then they get the banks to back them, and then they get these people, black, white, or foreign, it don't matter who they are, and then they say, okay, we're going to pay you for your labor, and then these people do this, and then basically it's an asset. They're no longer have to. They don't have to do anything. Basically, banks give them the money because they're going to say, okay, we're going to put this out there. Everyone's going to get it. So this is worth $1 trillion since you came up with the right mechanism. I don't think black people can do that in this country because we don't have the backing unless it's going to be a white overseer that's going to pay for it. Because at the end of the day, there's white people on euros and dollars.
brother, you said that black people need to be 90% of the population, that was the number.
Right.
Do you know how much of the population black people are in South Africa?
No, I do not.
90% of the population.
But those people,
Sir?
they're weak. They don't know about what we know about over here.
Yes, they do.
Okay, they probably do not.
They're not, no, probably. And guess what? Every other part of Africa is basically about the same. We are 90% of the population. And the 10% of white folk run the other 90%. And the reason why is okay, I'm going to drop your call the next time I talk and you butt in. I think that's enough. So next time you won't even get a warning. Fair warning. Now the problem is that as black people, they understand entrepreneurship because they get off the damn planes over here as doctors. They get off the planes over here as accountants. They understand it. The problem is not population. The problem is that their opponents, and that's what they are, their opponents are people who are They have an economy, and they have a code of conduct. And black people, nowhere on this planet have we exercised acumen for an economy and a code of conduct. We are trying to emulate the people who see themselves as at war with us. And that's everywhere you go. White supremacy runs it. Whether you go to Atlanta or Algeria or Nigeria, Liberia, they run it. They run it. They are 10% of the population and 95% of the wealth. And they run it. So that brick wall that you claim you met over here and that population solution that you say exists over there, that brick wall is waiting for you, and that population solution doesn't exist over there any more than it exists over here. Now, this isn't speculation. You can go get an atlas, go get a world census. The population, we are 90% of the population, and that's helping us how? All these solutions you think that's going to give us, it ain't doing nothing now. Right now. Not next year. Now. It's doing nothing now. So, and you're talking about bamboo huts and everything else. Instead of saying what needs to be said, show me that you can actually build an economy in Houston, and I will believe that you'll make that 90% actually mean a damn when you get to Africa. It'll actually mean something when you get there. Because guess what? You're already messed up as soon as you say we need 90%. You ought to be able to have 5% of you running the damn thing, no matter who the other people are. You know why? Because Jews are only 6% of the population. Yikes! Oh! I wasn't supposed to bring that up, was I? They're only 6% of the population everywhere they go. And yet they made sure that they are the socioeconomic majority, so it does not matter about their minority status. That Jews have never tried to be the majority anywhere on this planet. They just want to be the majority of the power, wealth, and influence. And you know what? That's the damn right way to be doing it, and that's what we're supposed to be doing. We are instead engaging in Fantasy Island. And it's killing us. It's literally killing us.
Well,
I'll let you have the last word.
I agree with you, and I guess we need to. I'm still a young black male, and I guess I need to watch the Jews, see what they're doing, see where I can implement that in our culture, and see if we can make some money that way.
How much? Whoa, stop! How much in savings do you have?
Sir?
How old are you?
26.
26 years old. Do you have a job?
I'm a truck driver.
Okay. How much savings do you have in the bank?
Not enough to should have made that statement.
How much savings do you have in the bank?
About 1,000.
You're a truck driver. How long you been a truck driver?
2 years.
24 months as a truck driver. And he has, over the course of 24 months, he has been able to save up essentially what? Barely $100 a month? Less than $100 a month. Okay, I'm really off there. $50 a month. It's going to be less than that. People will get the exact math there in just a moment. But think about that. Think about that for just a moment.
I mean, you know, it's easy to come a part of the culture, and it once you start growing up and seeing how things are, you want to change and get your life together before you get ready to have kids and stuff like that. And basically, I'm at that point, and I found this channel because you know, there's war. They're at war with black
brother.
males
Stop.
today, and black people.
You've been a truck driver for 2 years, and you've basically saved like $40 a month. $40 a month out of 2 years. How many kids do you have?
I don't have any kids.
And you've only been able to save $40 a month in 2 years.
Correct. It's just being irresponsible or stupid, whatever you want to call it. But I plan on having kids, and I want my
hope
kids
not.
to. I want to be able to.
Oh, I hope not. Oh, please don't.
Well,
don't have any kids. Please don't. Please,
well,
please. My job is already hard enough as it is. Don't do that. No.
Yeah, but
I will pay you. Can I pay you not to have any? Would that be? Can I do that? How much will it cost?
you can pay. You can pay me to help. You can help me start a business, and then once it take off, I'll remember you.
No. I'll help you out. No kids though. You just just help.
All
Just
right.
if for nothing else, it'll just keep you occupied. No kids, no females, no.
I haven't been thinking about doing something with trucking
Vasectomy?
and trying to take. I've even been thinking about maybe going into trucking as far as business. But I see trade and transports where the money is. But we need resources. We need to be able to transport those resources. So, I mean, it's hard to compete with white supremacy.
Not right
especially when you don't have anything. You don't have no backing, and the only backing you have is ideas. That's the only backing we have, ideas. There's not many people that's gonna have money who's gonna say, well, let me support these black people for a black cause. No.
Okay. I see this is going to take us a lot of work. Now, here's what you need to do. Are you working full time?
Yes, sir.
There is zero. Do you live on your own? You live with your parents?
I live on a truck.
You live on a truck, okay. When you're not in the truck, where are you?
Hotel, family.
Lord. Yeah, that's okay. In other words, there's no reason that you should only be saving up $40 a day a month. What kind of car do you drive?
Actually, I don't have a car yet.
Okay. And what are you doing with your money? God, I know I'm going to suffer for asking that, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
I like enjoying myself. That's it. I spend my money on stupid stuff.
Okay.
Xbox.
Yeah. How's that working out?
Take my girl out to eat.
Take my girl out to eat. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you.
I'm not calling that. I'm not calling that a black man that's already made it.
Do you understand that you will never get the last 24 months back? Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand that every day that you keep doing that, the dollar gets weaker and weaker? And the dollar that you had 24 months ago, the dollar goes up and down. I know right now it's surging, but it's going to drop again. The dollar that you had 2 years ago was a better dollar than the one you got today, adjusted for inflation and all that. And you're taking your good money and throwing that away, and then say, well, I'll make up for it in a few years. And your non-black competition is just swallowing you whole.
It's easy to want to give up when you see that the scales are just so uneven.
What does your girl do for a living?
So unbalanced.
What does your girl do for a living?
She's in telemarketing.
Telemarketing. How much does she weigh? Be honest.
Let's get off that.
Yeah.
Come on, TV. Let me call back another time. All right, you getting too far in business now.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much for giving us a call.
All right, bro.
I guess this is supposed to be your own moment. I don't know. Caller from 651, you're on live with the Black Channel.
Hi, TDA. My name is Alicia, and I'm calling from Minneapolis.
Hello, Alicia from Minneapolis. What's on your mind, sister?
No, I'm originally from Liberia, West Africa. So when I heard the caller, I was fuming, and so what you call it? But as I listened to him, he's 26 years old. He has a while to go. So it's just the ignorance is ridiculous.
So you're saying that you are from Liberia, home of the Firestone rubber plants.
Yes.
And I don't mean rubber plants as in buildings, everybody. She knows that there's that 200 square mile preserve that Firestone owns that they get their rubber plants from in Liberia. So you're aware of what I'm talking about.
Yes.
So what you're telling me is that there is no market for, even in Liberia, where Firestone has got this huge preserve for their rubber trees, that there is no burgeoning market for bamboo huts?
Yeah, I grew up I was a child when I came to America. I was 8 years old. So, but I do remember a lot about back home. And I was raised in Brooklyn, New York. I moved to Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minneapolis when I was 23. And but I know about a lot about Liberia. As you're talking about the rubber trees and all that, my grandfather actually, he owns the farm goes for miles and miles and nothing but rubber trees, and we have all these outsiders. They come and tap the trees to get rubber. And, the Chinese, oh, my goodness. I mean, you go to the dollar stores here, and you see, like, the dishes and the cups and all that is made from rubber, and we have it, like, overflowing on the farm, and we don't do anything with it. My grandfather is all about the Catholics. He's given a part of the farm to the Catholic Church because he wants to buy his way into purgatory. It's disgusting. I'm serious.
He wants to buy his way into purgatory.
Well, that's what they teach them, right?
Wait a minute, but you said, I think you mean buy his way out of purgatory. Usually you're trying to leave it.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, what'd you say? He's been real bad. Yeah. He's like, oh, hell, I'm trying to just get out of hell I'm trying to get into purgatory. I just forget getting out. I'm just trying to get, because I know I'm going to hell. So.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, that's what I meant.
He knows he's going to burn.
Buy his way out of purgatory. He has 3 gold mines and 2 diamond mines. And
you need to go push him on the banana peel. I would be on the first. I'll help you with that one right there. You need to go push him on a banana peel. You need to go wax the floors in his house and take him ice skating. You really need to. I would take him hang gliding with a hole in the hang glider. I'm telling you.
You have no clue. I'm serious. The sickness that's going on in Liberia. I'm so disgusted with everything. Even now, my uncles and everybody, they talk about going back and building businesses and all that. But their mindset is not black focused. They worship white to the point it's so disgusting. One of my uncles made a comment once, and he said, do you know that every
90 seconds
man's dream is to be with a white woman? And that floored me. It really floored me. And I'm like, wow, it's so disgusting. And I can't stand that sick president that's in office. And when she was about to be elected, I knew it was the worst thing. But Liberians are so damaged. As you know, they were the first slaves that were
repatriated to Africa and everything. And the real problem that I have, what you were just talking about there, the real problem is that as a group of people, we should be the last people latching on to that. It's the 21st century, and we're still letting people sell us intangibles.
Yes.
That's just a shame.
It really is. Like when the slaves were freed, I don't know if you are aware, but white people went along with the slaves to Liberia. The first president was white, and so when you look back on it, it's the same thing. They worship the light skin, the color issues. I mean, that's just all over.
Well, we got people who are talking about Africa who know nothing about it is the problem. They're talking about Africa from an app. That's why I was playing Sesame Street, because that's the way 4-year-olds talk about Africa. It's just nothing but black folk over there. People who actually know what the hell's going on in the last, I don't know. The problem is that they've created this mystical, mythical, magical Africa that doesn't exist. And that's the problem.
You have no show.
And we've got people who are sitting here and literally are speaking to us about a place that simply does not exist. But they're arguing with us about it. And then you wonder why people see us the way that they do. Then you wonder why they think about us the way that they do. We're going to go ahead and wrap this up here now for you brothers and sisters. I hope you've learned something here tonight. I hope you have learned something here tonight about why we are in the condition that we are in, why we are in the shape that we are in, some of the battles that we're having, some of the difficulties that we are encountering. I hope you've learned something from it tonight. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of the BlackChannel.net Radio. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, brothers and sisters from around the world, remember, black is the future, and the future is uncompromising.